Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Saturday, and a glorious Saturday it seems like it's going to be over here in England. I hope you're well wherever you're watching this around the world. Apologies, didn't get to do a video yesterday, as I mentioned in my last one. It's half term at the moment, so I've got the kids running around. It's pretty hard to find any time at the moment. But I thought I'd pop on today, go over a few of the things that are doing the rounds when it comes to Arsenal, and as you'd expect, there are plenty of them. A lot of them speculation rather than substance, but we will discuss exactly what the sort of scene is for Arsenal as we move further into the summer and the transfer window begins to stir up a little bit. We're a week away from the Euros as well now. So not too long before we see some decent competitive football again. Only 4 Arsenal players involved in the Euros: Saka, Leno, Xhaka and Tierney. Can't remember a major Europe international championship when there's been so few Arsenal players. Maybe that says a lot about where Arsenal are right now. But still, hopefully we'll get to see some of them in action. And hopefully, sorry if you're not English and watching this round, but hopefully Bukayo Saka can help England finally get that first international trophy since 1966. Anyway, enough about England. There's going to be plenty of that to discuss going forward. Let's talk about Arsenal. We'll start with Emi Buendia. He's certainly the big talking point at Arsenal at the moment. Have there been a bid? Has there not been a bid? This is a really confusing situation, this Buendia one. And I imagine it's confusing for you guys. It's confusing for me. And I'm sort of, I speak to people who are involved in it all. And there's lots of differing opinions of exactly what's going on. Some people say Arsenal bid, some other people say Arsenal haven't bid. Norwich are insisting at the moment there hadn't been any official bids. People that I've spoken to who are quite close to, well, very close to what's going on at the moment. Some again saying, they're not aware that actually any bids have been made. So it's a really confusing one exactly where we are in this with Arsenal and Buendia and Aston Villa at the moment. But I think what's for certain, whether there have been any bids or not, and I at this stage can't confirm that there has been a bid because I haven't been told that there has been an offer made yet. But I know that other people have been told that, so it is quite a tough one for me to say firmly exactly where Arsenal are. But I think one thing that is for certain is that the interest between Arsenal and Aston Villa is very, very serious in Emi Buendia, and Emi Buendia is going to have a big decision to make at some point if both clubs meet Norwich's valuation. Now, some of the stories doing around that Arsenal have made a bid sort of centred around the fact it's around £30 million. Now, I don't think that is going to be enough for Emi Buendia. I think Norwich are in a position now of strength in this one with a long-term contract, new Argentina international, just come into the Premier League, not in need really of any money. They can ask for more than 30 million, especially when there's more than one club involved, and we know there is. We know that Arsenal and Aston Villa are both involved. Now, Norwich are willing to let Emi Buendia go this summer. That is definite, but their valuation has to be met. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like that valuation has been met at all. So it's one that's going to rumble on for a while yet now. He's obviously over in Argentina at the moment on international duty anyway. I don't know when he's due to come back yet to this country. Not that really matters too much because the deals can obviously progress without Buendia being in this country, and he has to be here for a medical whenever that would eventually take place. But Arsenal are certainly stepping up their attempts to land Emi Buendia, but Aston Villa are very, very serious in this one as well. So it's not going to be a one-horse race, and you kind of look at it. Yes, Arsenal clearly right now the bigger draw. You would think certainly history when it comes to the bigger draw in recent years between Arsenal and Aston Villa. Who would you want to go to? But Aston Villa are a very ambitious club. They've got a lot of money. They're improving. They've got Emi Martinez, who is very, very close to Emi Buendia, the same agent as Emi Buendia. So Villa are to be taken very, very seriously in this race. And so Arsenal, if they're going to want to get a deal done for Buendia, then they're going to have to make sure they can sell the project. Well, first they're going to have to make sure they bid what Norwich want, but then they're going to have to sell the project very, very well. And that's what Edu and Arteta are going to have to do. And from what I understand, Mikel Arteta is very, very good at doing that. He really does have a big sway when he talks to players and when he sells his idea and his visions for Arsenal. Players tend to listen to him. So you would hope. And that happened with Martin Odegaard when he got him in from Real Madrid in January. So you would hope if it gets to that stage, then Arsenal would have a very, very good chance of getting this deal done because they really want to sign Emi Buendia. He's been on a target for a long time. He's another target that Arsenal are going for that well predates the whole Edu coming in as technical director thing. This was a man that was a player that was on the agenda during the old scouting network and old recruitment team, and Edu has just continued that interest. So Arsenal do want to get Buendia done in this one, but there's going to be a few twists and turns yet on it, I think. So it is a slightly confusing situation, the whole Buendia situation. And like I said, I can't confirm for certain that there has been a bid, because I haven't been told that. People have been telling me that they are unsure about it as well. So we're going to have to wait and see. But obviously there are journalists out there who are reporting that that bids have gone in, official bids have gone in. And so, it certainly seems like the Buendia story is picking up and heating up, and we're going to be following that closely as the weeks go by. Okay, so from a possible incoming to a possible outgoing, this is an interesting one here. I just wanted to discuss. Now, it's been linked, it's been reported, I think it was Matt Law in the Daily Telegraph, he's very, very close to Chelsea, saying that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a potential target for Chelsea this summer. Now, that is a really, really interesting one. We know Thomas Tuchel and Aubameyang are like that. Thomas Tuchel didn't really, in the build-up to that Chelsea game at the end of the season, he was asked about the possibility of signing Orba, and he didn't really bat it away. And after the game, it was really interesting watching the two of them down there. Well after the final whistle had gone, they were just on their own by the centre circle, sitting there. They were hugging, they were talking for absolutely ages. In the end, one of the Arsenal coaching staff had to run back onto the pitch, get Orba and get him out of there, so that the coach could leave, because everyone was waiting. Everyone was on the coach and waiting for him to come in so that they could get away from Stamford Bridge. They were talking for that long. And the Telegraph reporting now that because Lukaku doesn't seem like he's going to be coming, he's going to be staying at Inter Milan, that Chelsea are going to be looking elsewhere for their strikers, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is one of those targets. Now, what would you do if Chelsea came in? You would, yes, Orba hasn't had a decent season. In fact, he had a poor season by his standards. But would you really want to see Aubameyang go to Chelsea? I've got to say, I absolutely wouldn't. I think I still think there's a striker who's going to score a hell of a lot of goals there in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and the worst thing to do would be to let him go to Chelsea and potentially have another Robin van Persie situation where he ends up scoring 30 goals from next season and helps them win the title. Because if Chelsea had a finisher last season, they would have been one hell of a team, because they missed so many chances. And Aubameyang is a finisher. He's absolutely, yes, he had a disappointing season last season. There were issues on and off the pitch, but I absolutely don't think Aubameyang is over the hill by any means yet. And I have to say, if there's any substance in this, if Chelsea do come knocking for Aubameyang, then I would not want Arsenal really to entertain that. By all means, if you think he's past his best and you want to go and reshape the striker department and sell him, then that's a decision you've got to make. But try and sell him abroad. Don't keep him in the Premier League. Don't sell him to Chelsea, where Arsenal fans may have to watch him week in, week out, scoring goal after goal for them and helping them to the Premier League title. So hopefully that's one that Arsenal wouldn't even entertain if Chelsea did come knocking around for Orba. I mean, you don't even know what he'd really fetch at this point, given his age. Obviously got 2 years left on that long-term contract, or that contract extension he signed last summer. What would you get now for 20 million for him? Perhaps, it doesn't feel like a risk worth taking for me. I mean, let me know what you think. If Chelsea did come in with a bid for Aubameyang, should Arsenal sell, or should they absolutely refuse outright and say there's no way we are going to sell to a rival? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always interested to hear your views, and I'm sure that one will certainly generate a lot of interest, because I bet there's some different opinions going around on it. Another player being linked away at the moment with and that's coming from Spain, is Hector Bellerin being linked with Atletico Madrid. Now, that's an interesting one. I've talked before about Real Betis' interest in Hector Bellerin. Hector and his people have been speaking to Betis, but there's financial issues involved in that one. Betis want a loan. Arsenal obviously want to sell. Betis really going to struggle to afford Bellerin's wages as well, so that one always felt like a bit of a non-starter for me. But if there is interest from Atletico Madrid, you think possibly there's an opportunity here. They've got money. They're not absolutely flush with it, but they've got money. They've just won the league. They're in the Champions League next season. They would be able to afford a fee for Hector Bellerin. They would be able to afford his wages. Now, that certainly feels like more of one that has potential for Arsenal to look to do business when it comes to Hector. Like I've said before, Hector can go this summer. I think we're all expecting him to go. He stayed last year when possibly he was going to go. Arteta convinced him to stay for another year. That didn't quite work out. He'd lost his place by the end of it. Everyone had kind of moved on, and Bellerin is able to leave if a suitable offer and a suitable club can be found. Betis, as I said, didn't feel like the suitable club, but perhaps if there is some substance to the Atletico rumours, then that feels like one that is certainly more doable. So again, let me know what you think about that. Right, we'll just rattle through a few things before the end of this video. Luis Campos, there's been lots of talk from France at Arsenal. I've been in talks with Luis Campos about a potential role here. Obviously, ex-Lille technical director, ex-Monaco technical director, absolute genius at times in what he's done in the transfer market over in France in the last few years. Now, I personally think if he's available, you absolutely go and try and get him. But word from Arsenal, they're very much adamant that this is not true and that there are no talks over Luis Campos coming to the club. That's all I can really say on the matter at the moment. Yes, there's those reports in France, but Arsenal very much adamant that it is not true and he's not coming to the club. A couple more things. Sead Kolasinac, he's on his way back to Arsenal as it stands. He spent the remainder of last season on loan at Schalke. Schalke can't afford him to keep him. They would have liked to have kept him, but they can't afford it. They've admitted that. Peter Nabel, the board member at Schalke, said on a sporting and personal front, it's a painful decision to have to make. Considering the current budget and squad structure, well-known challenges that have been openly discussed, there was no alternative. We can't afford to spend weeks going back and forth, given that we have a short pre-season, how quickly the new campaign will come about. We have to make decisions in Schalke's best interest now. That is why this step is necessary. So no Kolasinac for Schalke, which is a bit of a blow. Arsenal would have very much liked to have been able to do a deal to get him off the books permanently summer with Schalke, but that's not to say they won't get a deal done with someone this summer. There's sure to be a fair bit of interest in Kolasinac, especially from Germany, and I'd be very surprised if he starts the season still a member of Mikel Arteta's squad. He's certainly one of the players that can go this summer, and if it's not going to be Schalke, hopefully it can be someone else, and then that should hopefully start moving forward over the next few weeks as well. Martin Odegaard, talking about Carlo Ancelotti, I've already discussed Emi Buendia. I'm not sure Arsenal would sign Buendia and Odegaard, but maybe if you can get Odegaard back on another season-long loan. He doesn't really seem to want to come back on loan. He wants to get his future sorted one way or the other now, either be it at Real Madrid or be it permanently somewhere else. I'm not sure another loan is right at the top of Martin Odegaard's agenda. He's been speaking about the arrival of Carlo Ancelotti in Real Madrid. This is what he said. He says, he's a coach that I know and with whom I have a good relationship. When he was last there, in that sense it's positive, but beyond that, one day has passed, so I don't know how much and what he thinks about things. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Will Arsenal or just go back in for Martin Odegaard, or will they let this one lie and just look to really turn their attentions to Buendia? Because if you've got Buendia, you've got Emil Smith-Rowe, you've got Bukayo Saka even can play as number 10. We don't know what's happening in Willian yet, although he is free to leave if a club can be found for him. But you do have options to play there in the number 10 role, especially if Buendia comes in. Now, Buendia is not an out-and-out number 10. I know he says it's that favourite position. He can play for the wide positions as well, which he's shown during his time at Norwich. So you kind of feel like if he arrives, Arsenal are well stocked in that area. Do they really need to get Martin Odegaard in? I'm not so sure. Now, I know Arsenal want to get Martin Odegaard back. That's absolutely definite. Mikel Arteta really likes him. He thinks he's a hell of a player. He wants to get him back next season. But I just think if you're going to get Buendia, I'm not sure you absolutely need to get Odegaard as well, especially when there's so many other areas that are pitched that we know that Arsenal have to look to improve on. We've talked about that before. Right back, we've spoken about Hector Bellerin, potentially a backup left back for Kieran Tierney. Now, Ryan Bertrand was a big target for Arsenal. It looks like he may well be heading to Leicester on a free transfer, so Arsenal could have to look somewhere else for a potential left back. I mean, you've got Kolasinac coming back, so there is that. You could just use him, but as I've mentioned, I still think Kolasinac will head off this summer. The central midfield area, if Granit Xhaka does go, do you go in for Basuma? There's so much to do at Arsenal, and every day that ticks by, you think there's more and more for Edu to do, and his summer's going to become more and more busy. So it's going to be really interesting to watch exactly what sort of work Arsenal do in the summer. I'm sure you've seen in the last couple of days they have released their sort of retain list for the summer. You had Dani Ceballos, David Luiz, Martin Odegaard, Matt Ryan on all of those. I'm not people have taken that as, oh, Odegaard's definitely gone. He's not. It's just a matter of fact. His loan ended, so he's one of the players on the retained list. The same goes for Matt Ryan. I wouldn't rule out Matt Ryan coming back for another season as well. Arsenal will have to wait to see over the coming weeks if they can get that done. Obviously, we know that Danny Ceballos, he's not coming back. We know that David Luiz isn't coming back at the end of his contract. Some of the under-18s as well were like Joseph Alou, Luke Plange, were on there, Levi Lang. One player who wasn't was Kiddo Taylor Hart. Obviously, there's lots of interest in him. Will Arsenal get a contract done for him? He's out of contract this summer. There is a contract on the table for him, not yet signed. Had a very good season with the under-23s last year, stepping up. Arsenal want to keep him, and I think we're going to have to wait over the next couple of weeks or so to see if they can convince him to sign that new contract, because there's plenty of interest in him from elsewhere. That has been reported pretty widely. All right, everyone, that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. As always, do enjoy your Saturday, whatever you're doing today around the world. Enjoy the sunshine if you're here in the UK. I'll speak to you very, very soon.